Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I have another golf ball review for you. Today we are continuing with the Union Green and now doing their other golf ball, which is called the Pindrop. Let's dive in. Okay, so if you didn't see the other Union Green review I did, they have two golf ball models. They have the T-Bird, which was the other review I did. They're two-piece golf ball, lower price, beginner distance golf ball, tested that one. And then now they have the Pindrop, which this one's their three-piece model. It's a little bit more advanced, has a little bit more spin, reminds me kind of a top 5 gamer kind of vibe, but it's a little bit better value as far as only being $27.99 a dozen. However, though, it does come with $5 shipping, unless you buy 3 dozen, which most people aren't going to want to buy 3 dozen to try the golf ball out. So I kind of have to, for all intensive purposes, say, hey, it's 33 a dozen, basically. That's how this golf ball falls in there. It's 28 without the shipping, but however, if you add that shipping in, it's 33 a dozen. So 33 still isn't bad. That's the Strixon Q-Star, Tour, Divide. That's kind of your mid-range when it comes to your value tour balls. A lot of them come in at that. Like once you get into the three-piece market, they start around the $29.99. But there is a lot of competition there. So with it being in that range, I do expect the golf ball to perform really, really well because there's just so much competition here, and there's a lot of great golf balls in this price point. So we will dive into that. Let's go ahead and dive into the design of the golf ball. As I said with the T-Bird, I love the dimple design. I do like the logo. It is different. It is going to be weird the first time you see that logo because it's just so different than what a golf ball logo usually looks like. So it's gonna take some getting used to. And then if you look on the side there, you can see it does say Pindrop, which again, I'm not a big fan of the alignment tool, but because the letters are so blocky and they're so symmetrical, I gave the T-Bird a pass for this, and this one's kind of the same way. It's not impressive to me, but it's not a total flop. I get it. It is easy to see. If I kind of show it to you there, you can see it and line it up decently, but there is room for improvement. Now, one other thing I noticed about the golf ball immediately is I assumed with it being in this price point, it would be urethane. I just expected a three-piece golf ball being in that mid-range. It would probably be urethane. Not the case here. It looks really, really cheap. It looks really cheap and plasticky, which it looks like ionomer to me, and after looking it up, I've confirmed that. It's an ionomer blend of types, and for being 33 a dozen, that already is a red flag for me because there are a lot of golf balls you can get with a urethane coating at the $33 price point. So I am a little nervous about that. There is a chance for the numbers to save it, but overall, design-wise, again, there are things I like. So let's go ahead and get out to the chipping and putting green, and let's see how we did out there. All right, so after testing the T-Bird, I was kind of indifferent about how the Pindrop would feel, but it actually feels pretty decently soft, and I lost the height I got with the T-Bird. So this one's more mid-range as far as chipping around the greens. I really did enjoy the feel. It's nice and soft and squishy, especially for being more that firmer type golf ball. We'll get to more on that in a moment. However, one thing I definitely expected from this golf ball over the T-Bird model was that it was actually going to spin more. It is a three-piece. I expected it to spin more. However, it really didn't. It kind of does in a way, but it's not the way I would want it to spin. Instead of having that nice, tug effect and really gripping the green, there's no urethane cover here. So instead of having that, it's more like left and right kind of. It's more like, hey, it's going to spin, but I don't know which way kind of thing. If you leave that face a little bit open, it's going to bounce to the right. There was a couple times even the ball was kind of back and forth. It just really is inconsistent. I couldn't get it to do what I wanted it to do. And I think that's just because, again, no urethane coating, and it's trying to be something that maybe it just isn't. As far as off the putter, it does feel good. It loses the click that the T-Bird does. That T-Bird had that slight little tiny click, whisper, just that whisper click. This one's not the case there. This one definitely feels squishy. It doesn't quite feel as good as a Titleist ball, Max Fly, or anything like that. A Strixon's another one that does it really well. But it does feel pretty good for the most part, like an 8 out of 10. Feels pretty good, but it is softer. It's on the softer side. And it does have a pretty decently true roll. Both these golf balls, not perfect by any means, but high enough to where you probably wouldn't notice as an average golfer. Okay, so getting into the feel of the golf ball as far as with the full clubs, it kind of reminds me of the T-Bird a little bit. It is slightly softer than the T-Bird was. The T-Bird was very, very, very firm. Felt like a two-piece distance golf ball for people who swing very, very fast. This one doesn't feel quite that much, but pretty close. If the other one's like an 8 out of 10 on firmness. This one would be a 7. So, I mean, it's right there with it, but it is slightly softer, so maybe the numbers will be a little better. Let's get into the 9-iron. Let's see how we did there. It is 90.5 on the mile per hour, which isn't bad. That's just slightly below average. That's way better than the T-Bird did, so that's good to see there. I did get average there with the distance. It looks like I got average there with the carry, and I got a pretty high ball flight, actually, which isn't bad. I don't mind that. So we're already off to a better start, which is good. Now, these numbers aren't blowing me away so far, but the T-Bird, if you didn't see that review, was really, really, really low because it was just such a firm distance golf ball. I just couldn't get any speed with it. There was no bouncy ball effect to be had, so I lost some there. Getting into the 7-iron, 6,330 with the spin. That's right in line with average. 105.1, which is slightly below average. You know, again, felt firm. 158.6. I only lost 2 yards there. Actually, less than 2 yards. No big deal. 146.4. Again, slightly less in yards. 18.6. That launched mid. Again, just a lot of okay in there, and again, okay, being average, I say this on the channel a lot, being average isn't a bad thing. You just have to make sure that your price reflects average. If you're selling for 33 a dozen, and the Q-Star Tour is selling for 33 a dozen, and the Q-Star Tour is a gift from the heavens above, and your golf ball's just okay, your golf ball's getting pushed to the side on my channel. That's just all there way is to it. Now, if the golf ball had been $27 a dozen and free shipping, okay, well, now we have a conversation, you know, because now it's like, okay, there is value there, right? There is value. You can, okay, you're spending a little less. Maybe you're not that great yet. You want a three-peat. There's a conversation, but when it's the same price, the average just isn't going to cut it. Let's see if it does compress a little bit better with the 5 hybrid. 4,089 on the spin. That's slightly below average. Not a big deal. 114.5 is really, really, really low. 189.9 is lower than average. 174.6, which is lower than average. 15.1. High ball flight, but boy, just not getting any speed. You know, that's such a shame. Okay, so I was hoping the 5 would be a little better because usually that's a chance to shine for these golf balls. With me losing distance, though, it kind of makes me wonder if it is intended for really fast swingers. I'm not sure, but let's get into the driver to find out what its numbers were. 26.28, which is low spin. That's really good, but 236.3 ain't going to cut it. 131.4 ain't going to cut it. 215.3 is abysmally low, and it had a mid-ball flight. So, yeah, I mean, really, I mean, you had okay, okay, bad, bad, whereas T-Bird had bad, bad, good, good. So it's too inconsistent for me. My main question is you know, at this point, was I over compressing the golf ball at the end? I don't know. I don't think so because of how firm it felt. Maybe it's just a little dead. Maybe it's for really, really fast swingers. Maybe I was just getting some good shots in with the, I'm not sure. That's really weird. I almost never have a golf ball be good, good, and then bad, bad. I mean, 99% of the time, if it is anything, it's bad, bad, good, good, because once I start getting into the hybrid, once I get into the driver, it compresses the golf ball more, and then you see that gap. I don't usually have it to where the short irons are amazing and the long clubs like the driver, the woods, the hybrids, that, you know, etc., are abysmally low. I guess the only time I've seen that happen is if like the golf ball is so soft, like it's an ultra soft feel and it's like a lady's ball, then maybe it gets to a point where I'm over compressing it. But based on the feel, I just don't think that's the case here. So before I get into my closing thoughts, I do want to talk about the durability. This one is definitely not as good as the T-Bird. You can feel scrapes. You can feel cuts. It kind of feels sandpapery a little bit. You know, the T-Bird, when I tested it, was really almost flawless. It was almost a perfect score. This one is not the case. When you feel it, I mean, you can definitely tell. This is after like about 50 to 60 shots, and it's toast. I wouldn't use it anymore. I wouldn't trust it. Yeah, I wouldn't trust the flight. I wouldn't trust the roll on the green. So really disappointing there. All right, so final thoughts. Again, I mentioned this in the T-Bird review. There are some things to build on with the golf ball, but between the two, I think the T-Bird's better, which is a darn shame because I have had contact with a representative of T-Bird, and his thinking was essentially that the T-Bird was a who cares golf ball, whatever, you know, two-piece, who cares about it, you know, it's a budget golf ball for people who are just beginning the game or shoot 120. That's not a quote, that's just the vibe I got based on the way he talked about it. But the Pindrop is what apparently Union Green is really, really interested in and what they're really focused on. And that's disappointing because I think that's the worst of the two golf balls. I wasn't impressed with the performance of it. Price-wise, at $33 a dozen, Q-Star Tour all day, and it ain't close. It ain't close. I mean, there's so many. The Cut DC, $29.99 a dozen. And these are golf balls you can just go to your local store, Walmart, just pick up while you're grocery shopping, pick them up, don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about waiting a few days, paying for shipping and handling, and those golf balls feel a lot better too. So unfortunately, because of the competition, I don't see a way to recommend this golf ball. Now with the T-Bird, I had mentioned that I think it's just for faster swingers. I think that if you're someone who is 100 to 105, it could be worth a try just to see. But with this one, I don't even think it's worth trying. Whether you're a fast swinger, a slow swinger, a mid swinger, I don't think the value's there. And again, Union Green's new. They're experimenting. They're learning. But I feel like being a parent company of Titleist, they kind of have a head start. I mean, you should have a head start. You should at least kind of know what you're doing. But to be fair, this is kind of how a lot of Titleist golf balls perform on my channel. You know, I tested the Tour Soft. I tested the Tour Speed. They kind of performed similar and they felt similar. So that kind of leads me to believe it's that way. So again, I like what Union Green's doing. They have this new vibe, you know, hey, you know, bound by the game, not by membership. Hey, loosey-goosey, you know, it's that kind of vibe. And I like that, but unfortunately your golf ball has to perform in the testing. We all know that's the most important part, other than the alignment tool, of course. I'm just kidding. But overall, I just wish it was a little better. There's definitely room for improvement. So not a recommendation this time. Guys, as always, keep watching to keep saving and keep learning. Until next time, thank you so much.